Perfect. Thank you so much, Sonia. So yes, it was a pleasure in understanding what kind of challenges MediaMarkt Saturn is currently facing, especially when looking at new categories and with this new consumer groups that they haven't had too many touch points yet. And with this, I would not only like to give a short introduction to GoComo and what we are doing, but especially also what we've gotten out of the plug and play program and what kind of questions and how we approach this challenges that Sonia just described for MediaMarkt Saturn. So Como overall is focused on data-driven influencer marketing and social analytics. So we really help our partners to move away from gut feelings to a data-driven approach. For this, we're screening the most relevant social media platforms with a focus on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, helping our clients to understand what their consumers are actually already talking about and how they can translate this to their marketing activities. We're now 3 years old as a company, completely bootstrapped, collaborating with brands like Nike, Microsoft, of course, now MediaMarkt Saturn, Warsteiner, Bayer, and brands all over Europe and by now also globally, supporting them in their social analytic topics. We have 3 main areas which we're focusing on, and the first is the one which we're going to be digging in on today. That is understanding a consumer's ecosystem. So brands already have consumers out there that talk about the brand or that are fans of a certain topic. We want to get an understanding of what are these consumers actually already talking about. And in this ecosystems, we can identify influencers which have the highest relevancy. We can understand what these consumers are interested in, and we can see what kind of trends become relevant for these consumer groups. The next step is often activating the respective influencers which have a relevancy within the ecosystem for the brand so that the consumers can reach the products of the partners we have through these collaborations. And obviously, we help in tracking all this and improving over time to really show how well this channel performs in comparison to other marketing channels. So quick insight of what we've gotten out of the program. It was a full virtual experience, which obviously was different to the events and happenings we had with the plug and play team in person. Even though we missed them a lot and couldn't see them in person or have a beer with them, we did the entire program from Berlin and participated for this in global events, which was a huge benefit for us because in the past it was more narrowed down to local events, and many of our employees could join the sessions which were given. For example, the negotiation workshop, which had a very positive resonance. So that was a huge benefit of doing it virtually. Main benefits, the mentoring was huge for us. The workshop we participated in, as such mentioned, the exchange with other startups, and also obviously the pilot projects and client discussions and kickoffs we now had coming out of the program. So let's dig into the MediaMarkt Saturn pilot project, which we did, digging into 2 consumer groups, and we'll now focus on 1. So the task at hand was, hey, could you please give us a data-informed understanding of these new 2 different personas we are going to target? So parents of newborn babies and the sporty consumers. Will now dig into the sporty consumers group, as we want to make sure we get a data-driven understanding of what they're interested in, who and what they're influenced by, and who they're inspired by. Also, we as MediaMarkt Saturn want to get a data-driven understanding of what kind of technical products are of importance for this consumer, which we in the next step can include into the respective category. So we first narrowed down what kind of consumers we could find based on the postings and conversation we've had on social media, and we decided together with the client to focus on a sporty consumer group. How did we approach this topic? We basically looked at all the people that tagged Urban Sports Club or John and Davis or ClassPass Germany that have used the hashtag Urban Sports Club or John and Jane's in Germany. So in total, we looked at 11,392 postings. Out of these postings, we identified which ones are in German and used the next step to identify 973 consumers, which exactly match this target audience and consumer group that MediaMarkt Saturn is aiming for. And so from there, we looked, who are these 973 consumers following? In total, that follows 716,693 consumers, which could then be aggregated and clustered into different categories, which gives us a very informed understanding of what these consumers are interested in. So how does this look like? We basically understand that 16.9% of these 973 consumers are following Pamela Reif, as we would expect it as well. But we also see what kind of other influencers have a high relevancy for this consumer group. So within this category, we have 56 influencers in the top 200 accounts, which are being followed by these consumers that have a high relevancy for this consumer group, which obviously can be used in the next step idly for influencer collaborations. However, we also got these insights for the different and other categories that these consumers are following. So we saw what kind of food and nutrition brands they are following, which food blogs, which fitness platforms and communities, and also which sport media magazines have the highest relevancy for these consumer groups. I won't go into too much depth now, but I will really give you a rough indication of what this consumer is looking for and interested in. You could also understand what were the most used keywords by the consumers in the postings to get an understanding for what kind of language are they using, what kind of keywords are they using, and in what kind of context are they talking about the topics which are also relevant for this new category of MediaMarktSaturn. What we could then see is that there are majorly 3 product or brands which have a high relevancy to the followers as well, and could be important to be added or to be watched for the category which is about to be established. That is Blackroll, Waha Flow, and Triggerdinger, that have not all, but partially CE-driven, so tech-driven products, which would ideally fit into the new category within MediaMarktSaturn. So the next step was also to get an understanding of what kind of relevancy do these brands already have for the consumer. So we wanted to get an understanding of how fast their channels are growing. So on the left side, you can see the growth of the Blackroll Instagram channel, and on the right, you can see the channel growth of the other 2 brands which we identified. This already gives a rough indication of what we looked at. We didn't want to share all the results, but we did, which we aggregated. At the same time, we analyzed, for example, US followers of Mira, to get an understanding of what US consumers are currently interested in, which obviously gives us a way stronger indication of what kind of products are currently in the US being hyped, and most likely will also become relevant in the German or DACH market in the next step as well. So how can partners use these insights we've generated, especially MediaMarktSaturn, which we're still in discussion with on how to put this into practice? On the one side, paid media, once it becomes relevant, to really form interest-based audiences for influencer selection if this topic is of importance. Strategic partnerships with PR magazines or venues and events when this is of importance for the respective target group. Product line guidance with the products we've just seen or the brands that have a high relevancy for the respective category, and obviously also for content creation with a basic understanding of who are these consumers following, what kind of keywords are they using, what kind of content are they looking at, to really tailor the communication towards their needs. And that's basically it. That's where we currently stand. I'm giving you a short snippet and insight of what we have done with MediaMarktSaturn so far. We are really eager to continue the conversation. I'm now looking forward to your questions, and if afterwards or at any time comes anything up where I can be of support, please feel free to reach out to me via message, LinkedIn, or any other channel.
Thank you so much, Sascha. I mean, having you guys in the program was a true pleasure. And what Sascha didn't mention, their solution is so good that they actually joined 2 programs. So they were not only part of our Munich batch, but also the Paris batch, and convinced very strongly in both programs. So thank you again for joining. I'm just hearing we have time for one question. So do you operate all the conversations and management with the influencers directly?
Yes, we really support our clients end to end. So from reaching out to the influencers to contracting, monitoring, or the content approvals, etc. We manage the whole process end to end.
Thank you so much. Okay, I can have one more. Thank you. What is the average process from influencer detection to getting in touch to seeing the results? So how long does it take?
Usually it takes from the official go of our partners to being live around 6 weeks. Obviously, we have made everything else also happen within 2 to 3 weeks, but to really have it set up in a good and planned way, 6 weeks should be planned from go to live.
Amazing. So Sascha will be around later on for any further questions. You can also download the deck, schedule something on Calendly. So do reach out to him for all the further questions.